There are more and more millionaires created every single day. In 2024 alone, there were approximately 680,000 new millionaires added just from that one year. But if you were to compare to the year 2000, there were only 180,000 new millionaires created that year. Even though the gap between the rich and the poor, this gap is widening over time, this is actually a really good sign because wealth creation is now more accessible than ever before. People have always said that it's not how much you make, but it's how you manage what you make. And while that is true to an extent, the rate of inflation is really causing us to rethink how we're building our wealth and how we're managing our money. Hi, my name is Jasmine, and on this channel, we talk all about becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you absolutely love. And if you're one of those people who have no idea how to allocate your paycheck, and you also don't know how to maximize your time for wealth building, this video is made just for you. Here are all the video chapters, and you can find the video chapters in the description below. And if you are someone who is ready to do the real work, I'm not just talking about watching these videos, but actually transforming, I provide worksheets for every single one of my videos. In these worksheets, you'll find in-depth journaling prompts as well as practical exercises to help you start removing your limiting beliefs and to write out an action plan so you can start living out as your highest self today. You can access these worksheets down in the description below. Now let's dive right into the video. So the first part, we're going to be diving into how to cut up your paycheck. How you cut up your paycheck is quite dependent on how much you make on a yearly basis. For example, if you make $30,000, most of your money is going to go towards those day-to-day expenses. But if you follow these proportions right here, based on your yearly income, you will be set. So let's talk about the different allocations. The first allocation is your day-to-day life expenses. So this could be your groceries, your subscriptions like Netflix and Spotify. This could be your Wi-Fi, your rent, your car insurance, your car payments, your mortgage payments. This allocation is pretty self-explanatory because you obviously need money to survive. But I want to talk about making those big financial choices that can affect your day-to-day expenses. There are so many people that overspend on rent, overspend on car payments, and when they lock themselves in these payments and when they sign the contract, then they make the excuse of, I don't have enough to invest, or I don't have enough money for my day-to-day expenses. So I want you to follow this guide if you're planning on renting or buying a home or a car. So how do you calculate how much rent you should be paying? Your monthly rent should be no more than 30% of your monthly income. So say you make $6,000 every single month, then when it comes to rent, you should be paying no more than $1,800. You might be thinking, Jazz, there is absolutely no way I'll be able to find an apartment for $1,800. That I live in a major city. Prices are expensive. Rent is expensive. How do you expect me to find a place for $1,800? This is where you need to make temporary sacrifices. So get a roommate. You may have to take a 1-hour commute. Whatever it takes, 30% of your monthly income is your cap. Living in a cute apartment is nice, and being able to live in a good location is also really nice. But if your rent is taking up majority of your paycheck and you're living paycheck to paycheck, if something were to happen to you, you lose your job, or something were to happen to you in terms of your health, then you're not going to have any savings to save your butt. So how do you calculate how much you should be paying for your mortgage every single month? So you want to reverse engineer what the interest payments are going to be like, what the insurance payments are going to be like, property taxes, HOA and strata fees, reverse engineer how much all of that is going to cost every single month. In terms of your monthly mortgage payments, I would recommend between 25% to 40% of your monthly income. The reason I say 40% as the max is because it is also part of your investments. Buying a home is an investment piece because the price of your home is going to increase over time. There is a caveat to this piece of advice because, for example, you may see ads of apartments where they're like, you don't need to pay any sort of down payment. That is actually a really huge risk, and it's going to cost you way more in the future. The rule of thumb is the higher that you can foot the down payment, the lower your interest rates will be. And if you're buying a home, you have to negotiate down the interest rate. fight. You cannot leave the table without a fight. Simply by negotiating a lower interest rate, you can actually save yourself tens of thousands of dollars. Next, let's talk about how to calculate how much you should be paying for a car. There are two rules that you need to know if you want to buy a car. The first rule is that your monthly car payments should be less than 10% of your monthly income, and the total car value should be no more than 25% of your annual income. So if your annual income is $72,000 and your monthly income is $6,000, your max car payment per month is $600 per month. And your ideal max car price is $18,000. The reason why is because cars do decrease in value over time. It's not like buying property where it does increase. In fact, it goes the other way. The moment that you buy a new car and you drive it off the lot, it immediately loses value. Just in the first year of driving a new car, that value of the car can decrease between 20 to 30%. So if you buy a $30,000 car and you drive it for a year, that car is now only worth 21 to 24K. So to really sum up this day-to-day expense allocation, please do the math before you commit to any sort of long-term financial obligation, because if you don't, you might be screwed and you may not be able to have the money to spend on other things or to be able to invest in your future. The second allocation is investments. Girls, you all need to be investing right now. Not tomorrow, not in 10 years, not when you're ready. I am talking right now, because the money that you own right now is going to be the most valuable. Time value of money means that the money that you hold, the dollar that you hold, is going to lose its value over time, and it's gradually going to go down in value because of inflation. There's no doubt that things will only get more expensive from here. So I want to essentially show you what your money could look like and what you may be doing right now with your money and how that correlates with the rate of inflation. So let's say that you have $500. Due to the rate of inflation, inflation rises at about 3% long term. If you just park your money in your savings account and you don't do anything about it, or even if you just park your money in your investment account and you don't end up buying any stocks, you just keep it in your investment account, that money is going to grow between 0 to 0.3%. That is a 0.3% interest rate. But if you invest in the most basic ETF stock, so for example, the S&P 500, your annual return would give you roughly 11%. So when you're 80 years old, would you rather have $600, which is basically nothing in 60 years, or would you rather have $260,000? That is the power of investing. Not wait until you're ready, not wait until 10 years when you're more financially sound. You need to start taking action now, because just putting in $500, $50, $10, whatever you have, use time to your advantage. I get paid biweekly every single Friday, so I actually created an automation where every time I get paid on this Friday, so the biweekly Fridays, every time I get paid, my investment account will immediately withdraw a certain amount of money that goes right into my investment account. And during my money management sessions, this is where I allocate the funds towards buying certain stocks. You need to set up those automations where every time you get paid, that amount that you want to invest goes directly into your investment account without you even thinking. That is how you build long-term wealth. Investing is actually crazy simple. Do not disqualify yourself just because you didn't finish high school. Don't disqualify yourself just because you were bad at math or that you don't make that much money. It doesn't matter. The reason why the financial industry makes investing sound really hard is because if there's a bunch of financial jargon you don't understand, you are more likely going to hire financial planners to manage your money, and they make a fat commission off of you. So that's why they try to make it complicated so you pay for their services. But if you can manage it yourself, and you totally can, why not do it today? The next category is joy. Pretty self-explanatory, but it's whatever purchases that bring you joy and happiness. Have you been wanting to buy a new pair of shoes, go to that new restaurant, get that karaoke machine? Whatever brings you joy, this is the fund for it. And I am also talking to those who are chronic savers, because this fund is actually training your mindset to be able to spend without guilt. It is important that your frequency, when you're spending on things that bring you joy, is of abundance, is of more than enough. I used to be a chronic saver, and it was really hard for me to spend on things that I actually enjoyed because I always thought that I had to save every single penny and I had to put it towards my savings. But it is important to spend on things that you love, to spend on things that you care about, to spend on things that bring you joy, because we also need to live in the present. It's important for us to be able to enjoy this hard-earned money that we've spent the whole week making, especially if you work a 9 to 5. So you have to give yourself the ability, the opportunity to enjoy a bit of that wealth too. And the flow of abundance is really about spending and also receiving. If you're just receiving and you're not spending, you're not really in tune, in flow with how the universe is operating its abundance. So use this fund to spend on what you want. The fourth category is giving. If you are generous, if you are giving with your money without feeling this backhanded resentment, but feeling full generosity to be able to give your wealth and share your wealth with other people, the universe is going to see that frequency as very attractive. And in turn, that is going to lead you to attracting more and more wealth. Because the people that are the most generous are usually those that are the wealthiest. And the people that are the stingiest, right? Even though they may have a lot of money, stingy people are not going to be able to receive the flow that the universe wants to give them because they're holding all of their money too close to the chest. They're really tightening their grip with their money. But if you are making money, no matter how little money you bring in every single month, find some way to give. If it's just $2, $5, find some way to give your money. And that frequency is going to make you feel so abundant because your energy is communicating to the universe that there's way more where that came from. People always say, when I have $1 million, I'll be able to donate all this money. But why can't you donate even just $5 or $10 to those in need? Because this is your opportunity to show the universe that you are capable of receiving more, that you are going to be doing good with the money that you're going to receive. I was talking to this girl the other day, and she has rented out this really beautiful space where people can hold workshops or gatherings or community events. But she was so afraid of sharing the place on social media because that's how you get people to rent the space, baby. But she was so afraid of doing that, and she felt so resistant towards it because she was such an anti-capitalist. And I told her, how can you help the world by being an anti-capitalist? Because if you're not bringing money in, you can't share part of that wealth to people who actually need it. Starving people don't need your sympathy. They need money to buy food. Money is not evil. Money is simply a tool. You can use a brick to break a window, but you can also use that same brick to build a school. And it's not that the brick is good or bad, the brick is just a tool. The brick is neutral. It's the same way with money. Money is not inherently evil. It's not money's fault. It's the person that is using the money, the person using the tool, and they get to determine if they want to do good with the money or bad with the money. There are good and bad poor people, and there's also good and bad rich people. It's the person behind that money that is good or evil, and money is just an amplifier. Allocation number 5 is the Future Me Fund. This is the fund where you are going to be investing in your future self. So investing in courses, investing in coaching, investing in therapy, investing in workshops. This is a really important fund because if you do not build on your skill set, build on your mindset, clearing out old wounds and traumas, building up a stronger relationship with finances and money, if you're not doing the work to develop yourself and your skills, both the practical skills and also the soft skills, you are not going to be able to attract more wealth. Even though therapy can be expensive, it can help you release years of trauma, help you build up your self-worth, and when you have high self-worth, you're more likely to make more money. Although coaching is expensive, it can speed up your progress towards your goals, and that may lead you to making more money. Although workshops may be expensive, the people that you meet that are aligned with your goals, that understand your vision, and are also really into entrepreneurship, self-development, the more that you meet people like that, it's going to give you permission to pursue those very things, and that in turn will make you more money. The second part is how to cut up and budget your time. And this is going to be a layout of what you should be doing on a daily basis and also a weekly basis. The first thing that you need to implement on a weekly basis is money management sessions. I have days called Finance Fridays where I look at my finances every single Friday. So this is the time where I sort out my investment portfolio. This is also my opportunity to look at whether I've been spending under budget or over budget. So this is where I take a look at my accounts and I see, have I been spending more than I've been allocating? I don't recommend looking at your bank account every single day. It's not necessary for you to look at it every single day, but using these Finance Fridays to really assess how you've been managing your money is really important. You can't turn a blind eye on your finances. I know it's scary. I know if you're not in a good place financially, you need to know how much you owe, how much you have, what your net worth is. It's not a reflection of your worth whatsoever, but you need to manage it like a scientist. You need to start observing how your financial life is occurring, what is actually happening in the background, and how you can manage it so you can get yourself out of a bad financial situation. The second thing that you need to implement is working on your money mindset. If you have negative thoughts around money and you think that money is the root of all evil, or you think that money is only reserved for the rich, or you think that you're just not valuable enough to carry more wealth, and these unconscious blocks around money is controlling and it's actually capping your potential to earn and receive money. Because if you feel guilty for receiving more from your employer or from a customer, that guilt is going to cause you to self-sabotage. Or if you have this really deep fear of losing all your money tomorrow, then you're going to start unconsciously attracting bills or parking tickets. How much money you make and how much money you keep all starts with the nervous system. Your capacity to hold money, which is your container, is the masculine energy. And your ability to attract more wealth, that receiving energy, is very feminine. You need to be responsible of the money blocks that you've been struggling with because those are the money blocks that are blocking you from the wealth that you want. If you want to have a stronger relationship with money so you have the capacity to hold more and receive more, you need to work on your money mindset either on a daily basis, so I would say 30 minutes, or I would have one dedicated session where I work on and journaling my money mindset blocks. And I recommend doing both the 30 minutes and also having a longer interval. So I typically like to do 30 minutes every single day, and I do an abundance hypnosis. And on the more dedicated days or more dedicated times, I like to do EFT tapping to release the bodily sensations of those blocks. The next thing is to allocate your time towards reading finance books or listening to podcasts from people that are very knowledgeable in the finance world. If you want to be one of the greats, if you want to have an incredible financial life for yourself, you need to start listening to financial experts that have had lived experiences. If you were born and raised and you currently live in a small town and you don't have real money role models in your life, you need to start seeking out those role models online. And I like to build out a playlist full of my favorite podcast speakers, my favorite audiobooks, and I like to go back to that playlist every time I need a gentle reminder that I am capable of more. If you don't like to sit down and read, or you just don't have the time and capacity to do it, I highly recommend listening to an audiobook or listening to a podcast. Two of my favorite podcasts that I love so far are Emma Greed's Aspire podcast and Lewis Howe's The School of Greatness podcast. Those two have been my absolute favorite. Because I am so darn busy, I have a full-time job and I also do YouTube, I find that when I have gaps in my day, for example, when I'm commuting to work, then I use that time to listen to a podcast. Spend just an hour a day learning about personal finance. The very last thing is that you need to start allocating your time to build a passive income business. This is really about increasing your capacity to receive more. And the reason why I say passive is because active income businesses, so I've done one before. So I used to be a branding designer and I found that I could only fit a certain amount of clients throughout the day because I do project-based work. So the time that I allocate towards one project does take away from me potentially spending that on another project. So I can only work on 5 projects every single month. And that became a huge limitation for me because my earning potential was constantly capped. But on the other hand, by investing in a passive income business, so for example, YouTube has been a passive income stream for me because I get AdSense money. This has been so wonderful because I make videos every single week, and initially the payout is not so great because you need to have views, you need to have subscribers in order to bring that wealth. But over time, as you keep showing up every single week and posting one video, the more you do it, the more the results, the outcome, the money is going to essentially avalanche with time. I also think YouTube and content in general is just such a great way to make money because there are so many different avenues to bring in wealth. So there's UGC, there's sponsorships, there's courses, one-on-one coaching. And can we just talk about the job market? Because yes, I do work full-time, and yes, I freaking love my job so much, but I also know that jobs are no longer secure because we have AI, and AI has unfortunately already been taking over a lot of jobs. I think it's really important to also be aware that you can't keep all of your eggs in one basket, which means that you can't be only dependent on your job right now because your job could leave you. You know, it doesn't matter how long you've been at the company for. They could just let you go in an instant and all of that would be lost. So build a passive income business, and I recommend spending just at least 90 minutes every single day on your passive income business. So if you want to pursue YouTube, this is your sign, but you can also do vibe coding, so you can create an app and then sell that app as a subscription. Find a business model where you get recurring revenue without needing to do more active work. I recommend putting your efforts towards building something long-term, so letting that effort compound over time so that it pays you dividends later on in the future. I spend more than 90 minutes a day. I just personally love YouTube. I love being able to share my voice and my thoughts and my passions online. So to me, this just feels so worth it. And I am very, very grateful for this community that I've built. So if you have maybe even an inkling of wanting to start YouTube, this is your sign, girl. Now, we've reached the end of this video. Before I let you go, I want to remind you that it is so possible to achieve financial freedom because there are now more and more millionaires by the day. So this is your sign that it is so possible for you to create a positive financial future for yourself. And if you are looking to dive deeper into working on your money mindset and applying all the tools that I've taught in this video, then download my worksheets down below. And if you are on the journey of becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you love, check out my channel because I make a ton of videos about self-worth, relationships, love, money, literally all things high value women energy. And if you love this video, I highly recommend that you check out this video over here. This video will give you 8 selfish decisions that you need to make to stop being broke. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!